We're here in Flossmoor, Illinois at Homewood Flossmoor High School, home of the Vikings. Homewood Flossmoor High School is one of the few high schools left in the country that still offers hands-on technical training. The HF Auto Club is quickly earning the reputation as a group of young guys that can really put a car together. Under the direction of instructor Daniel Brown, this group of young builders is given the direction, freedom, instruction, and tools to develop their skills. Let's go take a look inside and see what the boys are working on.
We have a lot of projects ongoing and a lot of cool things in the shop. If it wasn't for Oliver, Al, and Nick Pio and Davin and Mason, a lot of those guys, a lot of this stuff would not happen at all. Those guys have skills that are unheard of at their age.
I've kind of been surrounded by cars my whole life. My dad's always had model cars when I was growing up. And he would always play like Roadkill and like Motor Trend on the TV. And he's always just been having cars like come in and out of the driveway. I'd go on rides all the time. There's Grand Prix and other Pontiacs and stuff. But that's mainly what got me into cars. Ever since I've been to HF, I've been so much more into cars just because I've been surrounded by this whole garage and I've been able to actually work on cars and like experience like getting work done, and I've just been learning so much. The more you learn, the more interested I've been into it. I tuned the carburetor, we got a new carburetor on there, new front brakes, new brake lines, took apart the rear drums, put wheel cylinders on both sides and put the drums back on, so I got to go through that whole process, and we messed with the diff, my trains a little bit, oil pan. We got an exhaust on here that I got to weld. That was my first time welding, so I got to get a lot of experience with that, and I learned a lot from that. So my plans after high school is I'll be going to Central Michigan University for mechanical engineering technology. It's like a more hands-on oriented version of mechanical engineering.
It started out stock, very stock, automatic. I got a set of wheels for it. That was kind of the first thing. And then put some headers on it and welded my own stainless exhaust. The big one was I swapped it from automatic to manual. That was more recent, and I did that in the shop here at school. That was kind of my big senior project. I've really gotten the car to a point where it's exactly how I want it. Freshman year, starting out, was very unsure about what to do, what to get into at the school, what to get involved with. And we were coming right off of COVID. I joined the auto club and was enrolled in small engines class my freshman year, and immediately made a lot of friends, lots of acquaintances. Was very involved with the club. Every Friday I'd show up and do different, very small projects here and there. And as a freshman, very involved in the small engines class, and got pretty good at fixing lawnmowers and snowblowers to start out. And I just kept going through the program throughout high school. Sophomore year, I took engine repair and brake steering and suspension. Junior year, I took electrical and started to do some small stuff on my car here and there. And then senior year, Mr. Brown really allowed us to go off and do our own thing. And that was when I was able to weld the exhaust on my car, do the manual swap. And on Nick's car, we redid that whole Grand Prix, as well as multiple engine swaps on Alex's car. So many various projects. We've had an absolute blast. I think I got really lucky to fall into this program. It's very rare between the size of the shop, the amount of lifts, the race program. It's something that's very uncommon, and that's a lot of schools are shutting down or slowing down. So I really do hope that HF keeps it alive, keeps doing what they can, support the students and their interests. And I think as somebody that's starting high school, unsure what to do, I think it's a great thing to start out.
It's been a real learning curve too, in figuring out what it's going to take this engine and sort of revert it back to a simpler way of functioning like the older engines. So it's got 1MZ intake manifolds, a lot of 1MZ sensors, 1MZ wiring, to convert it to being a drive-by cable instead of a computerized drive-by-wire, as well as letting it run on the manual transmission, because this is a 5-speed manual car. So it's been really interesting, kind of figuring that out and going through it, and sort of not pioneering this because it's been done before, but kind of fighting through a lack of readily available information on it and kind of figuring things out on our own. And it's been fun over doing just the standard done through and through swap. It feels like we're the first people doing it. I would not have been able to get anywhere on this project past the first couple bolts without like myriad of people in these classes and in these in club that have been helping me throughout this whole time. And it's honestly, it's enough that I would say it's gone beyond being my project, and it's as much a club project or a class project as it is mine, which is great. That's something that I wanted to do for this as well, is to make it so everybody's got something to do in here. I got into cars at a young age. I mean, my dad, I want to say when I was in 5th grade, got a 68 Camaro. So being around a 68 Camaro at a young age, I was like, wow, this is cool. And then my grandpa got this car right behind me, a 1966 Buick Special, for free before I was even born, actually, 2006. And it sat in the garage covered in cardboard, paintbrushes. You could barely see the thing. It was an inch of dust. I got into it, just fiddling with it, took the carburetor off, I think was the first thing, rebuilt it with him. Got it to run just off the auxiliary fuel tank to the side. The engine ran, okay, let's back it out the driveway and do brakes. And by that time, I was in 8th grade. My mom owned a salon shop in downtown Homewood. Behind the salon shop was a hot rod shop. And I would go walk, take photos of the cars, and you know, this is neat. And so eventually I walked in there and said, hey, can I work here for free? I'll sweep the floor, do whatever, you know, anybody doesn't want to do, I'll take that job. Just get me in here. And they were like, yeah, we'll take you up on that offer. So 8th grade, I worked all for free, just sweeping the floor, coming in. And then once in a while, they'd say, hey, put a battery in this car. Throw the water pump bolts on this car. Go clean this up in the sandblaster. And so I was like, okay, you know, I'll learn how to do it. And just piled up more and more stuff, complicated stuff. And by the end, you know, now I'm in my junior year of high school and I'm building engines in there. We're doing LS swaps. We're almost frame offs, not quite there, but very close. And just getting more and more complicated stuff. So they taught me a lot. And that loops back to this car in the sense that they taught me how to work. And I would then come home and say, you know, I just got off of work, did brake lines. I'm gonna try to do brake lines on my car. So sure enough, I got it driving 8th grade. At the end of 8th grade year, I was 15, drove it all around the block. I had no license, so I was like, I hope I don't get caught. Would take it out, and then after that, this car has just gone through so many different stages. It had an original Oddfire V6, so I was like, nobody likes a V6. I want a V8. Took that right out after I got it running, which was weird because I was like, spent all this time getting it running. It was my first hot rod, and I was like, all right, I'm ready for a V8. So I built a little cam 350 V8 with help from my boss at work, and I had that in my summer of my freshman year of high school. And you know, drove that around, loved it, beat the hell out of it, and by the end of it, blew that thing up. So now, you know, I'm getting better and better at wrenching. And my dad had the 68 Camaro. It originally had a 327 in it. He swapped it out for a 33 crate motor. So I was like, Dad, let me get that 327 that fits it in the corner garage. It's collecting dust. You're not gonna use it. Let me put it in the car. So he said yes, put it in the car, and it ran great. I drove it around like that for a while, got bored of that. And I was like, you know, my dad's Camaro stick, it's way more fun to drive. I want to make this thing stick. And nobody really does that, especially on a four-door. You never think to make it a stick shift car, which I think is pretty cool. It's a sleeper. So I took the automatic out of it. Sure enough, me and my buddy Oliver helped me just throw the stick shift in there, and we had it in. And I think we drove in on Friday night at the shop, stayed up till 2 in the morning, and drove it out the next day. So that was super cool. So that was my first stick shift car. So then beat the crap out of that 327. Didn't quite blow it up, but got to the point where it was close. So I pulled that out, put another 327 in, this one that I just got off the internet somewhere. That was a cammed motor. I put the cam in it and drove around a little bit with that. The cam turned out to go bad, unfortunately, but that happens. And went back to the original 327 I had in the car and drove around with that then in the car. Meantime, we're learning more and more because of this. Because we wanted to do something, we're learning more. I'm learning more about small block Chevys. I'm learning about turbos now. Who would have thought that this 1966 car would bring me to turbos, you know what I mean? And so we put this fuel injection and everything, and we run around with the turbo on there. And it was fast too. I remember we were out testing it. It was like 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night, and we're over by the grocery store in front, and I just beat on it, and he's got a computer in his lap, we're doing it, and the thing lights up the tires. There's a burnout, probably like 45 miles an hour, and we're like, both look at each other, holy crap, this thing, we made a monster. And so that eventually started leaking oil so bad from how we ran the turbo line, so we took that out. And then we, here at the auto shop, had a small black Chevy laying around. And as we took that one out, we were like, hey, we have this engine laying here. why don't we throw this in here? This one needs to be resealed and gone through. If we have this engine here, we could have this car driving in a week from now with just this engine. So we were like, man, is this motor blown up? It's been at an auto shop. Who knows? It could have been here at HF since the 70s. Who knows? So we put it in the car and it ran. We're like, all right, this is great. We get the turbo kit on there, and then the bad luck comes. We drove it around the block, and sure enough, the thing started rod necking. I don't know if students rebuilt it or what, but it went, it was gone. So then I decided, everybody else is LS nowadays. I was like, I'm just gonna do it. And I used to be against it. My dad had me the old school way of it's gotta be a small block or something old school, but I went against those rules, and I got a 5.3 LS that came out of a truck and put it in that car. And that was pretty complicated because you got to run all new computer wiring, everything. And it's like bringing up a brand new car with the body of your old school car. And so it started right up eventually as we got it in there, and we drove it around for a little bit with that. That had a crappy camshaft in it. Chinese camshaft just was garbage. The lifters went bad. And so we pulled that back out, and then a buddy that's in auto, which great connections, by the way, in auto. Everybody's got a motor or something that we could throw in. Had a 6.0 LS, and we bought that off of him. It has 220,000 miles, and we put it in the car, and it runs great, at least so far. And that would lead us to the current variation of this car right now. 6.0 with a stick shift in it, 4-speed Muncie. It's a fun car and runs great, at least so far. So like I said, we went through a lot of engines on this car, and I no way could have done this all by myself. Between my buddies outside of school, or same friends I should say, inside school too, we used to do it in my driveway, and then with the help of the HF Auto Shop, we were able to do it here. Now we have the best tools in the business and all the equipment we could ever need. So between all of my friends in HF, they helped me 100% do all this stuff. I don't think I could do it without them. And Mr. Brown, the teacher, he's super helpful. He helped me. I did disc brakes on this car. He helped me a lot with that. I mean, just super cool environment, super helpful. We're all learning, we're all having fun, and it's great to be here.
There's a growing concern on whether or not the hobby of hot rodding and fabrication can survive this next generation of young people. I'm here to tell you, it's in good hands.